Hi, welcome to Manas Shil YouTube channel. Before we start, kindly subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thank you. Let's start the video. If you haven't watched the previous video, I'll link it in the description box, or you can click here. Tensura Volume 19. Chapter 2. The Beginning of the Great War. World Conference. Millam's castle was under construction, but there were still some habitable parts that were already completed. There was also a medical facility in one such corner, and a bear was lying in one of the rooms there. When she had first escaped to this place, she had been in a serious condition, to the point of unconsciousness, but now she was awake, and her upper body was upright on the bed. It seems that she had been asleep for a long time, and we hadn't been able to hear what happened. Nodding my head, I greeted a bear. "Hi, I'm Remur, Tempest. I'm a demon lord." Since it was our first meeting, I started by introducing myself. Frisan, who appeared to have grown more attractive, looked at me, as if she was taken aback. It may be impolite to say this to the demon lord Remur, but don't you think you should learn to show a little more dignity? It is one thing to be able to do your duty during an emergency, and another to be able to do so duty in your everyday life. The difference is obvious to anyone who sees you. I immediately received a complaint, but from Frisan's point of view, it was probably because she was worried about the negative influence on Millam. Because Millam was always making excuses. That was probably it. It was like a mother worrying about her bad friend. I couldn't help but smile because it was so funny. Seeing me, Carrion smirked. "Hey, it's tough having Free on your radar. Hey now, don't say that just because you got a new ally." Both Carrion and Frisan, well, they might say a lot of things, treated me casually when nobody else was watching. I had asked them to do so, and was grateful to them, because I didn't have to be so formal that way. Even so, the atmosphere around the two of them had changed significantly. Benamere had reported it to me, but now that I was seeing them in person, they were like different people. "I heard about it, so you've taken full ownership of the power you've awakened." "Oh yeah. Tell Benamere that I owe him for his help the other day." Carrion was good friends with Benamere. He liked Benamere when he picked a fight with him during their first meeting, and they had been friends ever since. Even though the power relationship between them was now reversed, the fact that Carrion didn't mind at all, and even boasted that he would soon catch up to overtake him, proved how big of a person he was. The same was true of Frisan. "I'm grateful to you for that. Now I can be of more use to Millam than before." She smiled and thanked me, but that didn't mean that it was easier to scold Millam now, did it? I suspected as much, but accepted her words of gratitude as it went without saying that I would need her strength to survive the Great War. Even so, Rammus's labyrinth is a foul play. I never realized that there was such a use for it, even though we had been together as demon lords for such a long time. That's for sure. I thought she was just Guy's favorite, but I'm surprised the little pipsqueak had that kind of power hidden. I'm sure she wasn't hiding it. It's just that no one noticed. I knew about it. Knowing about it is useless if you are unable to do anything with it. That labyrinth made me understand that. That's why, Millam, don't be a sore loser. The know-it-all Millam was being chided by Frisan. Laughing at this, Carrion expressed his opinion. "But well, I can't laugh at Millam. We look like idiots too. But, hey, it makes sense, doesn't it? When it comes to treating others well, no one can match Remur." "That's right. In that sense, we are also the ones being used." Frisan nodded, but I hadn't expected that about Rammus's labyrinth. I initially thought I would just try and make use of it, and after asking, I couldn't help going, "What? Is that really possible?" I was surprised. And through trial and error, the current labyrinth was born. Since I had not envisioned it from the beginning, their opinion was an overestimation. But well, just by the results, the labyrinth really was amazing. The fact that you can come back to life, even if you die in the labyrinth, is a foul play, no matter how you look at it. The labyrinth was perfect for training, and from a defensive point of view, it was just too impregnable. It's a wonder that Rammus had been underestimated, and it felt like my own achievements were practically non-existent. However, I felt that it was wrong to talk about it, so I just laughed and covered it up. "Now then, let's finish our greetings, and get down to business, shall we?" Frisan's words changed the atmosphere of the hospital room into a serious one. At this point, a bear, who had been looking at us with a wide-eyed look, tightened her expression. Finally, she said a few words of greeting to me. "Nice to meet you, Demon Lord Remur-sama. I am a bear of the former 3 Phantom Commanders and head of the anti-cryptid forces." A bear began by saying so. She spoke with a mysterious look on her face, but there was no hint of a lie. Just as Milam and the others believed, my intuition was telling me that it was true. But just in case, I decided to poke my head in. Just for the record, you do understand that betrayal on the eve of a major war can lead to suspicion of espionage, right? Of course. I have no way of proving my innocence, but I will tell you everything I know. The expression on Aber's face was sincere, without a single trace of cloudiness. She explained what had happened, even though she wasn't in the best of shape yet. After she had finished her discussion with Milam, she returned to Feldway and the others. It was good that she received a physical body there, but at the same time, she also acquired an angelic skill. Sensing that she could be in trouble, Aber considered the possibility that she might be controlled by this power. She then discarded the ultimate skill Salvation King Azrael that she had acquired before Feldway could take control of her. Sylvia San taught me this technique of separating the mind from the skill. I was impressed by her knowledge, but when I thought more about it, I wondered if her betrayal had been exposed because the enemy had sensed Aber's abandonment of her skill. As a result, Sylvia San and Kigali and the others had a difficult time, but it might be wrong to put the blame on Aber. I would just dismiss it as an unavoidable situation and pretend that I didn't notice it. What was more important was the truth or falsity of Aber's story. Quite frankly, I found it credible. I agree. The story was coherent, and she even talked about information that normally should have been hidden. If she's willing to go this far, it's not worth the price of espionage. That's right. She spoke fluently to us about being attacked by Michael, and about his power. She told us that Michael's castle guard had not been activated, that he had used both Velgrund and Velzard powers as a matter of course, that his power had destroyed Aber's army, and so on. It was interesting to examine the information from the perspective of whether there would be any merit, should it be false. That is why I had always searched for the opposing opinions of information on the internet, and tried to find out whether the information was for or against, and what the source was, and so on. This method was also effective on Aber. If Aber had been deceiving us, she would have lied about Michael's powers, but this information was too true. Even Seal San's verification results showed that it was true. What's more, Aber had agreed to accept my analyze and assess. If I did this, I could almost certainly confirm the existence of her skills. The result of this also came out clean. It was determined that Aber did not have the Salvation King Azrael, and was not being controlled by Michael. After all this, believing in Aber was the correct answer. I gave Aber recovery medicine and honey, and asked her to try to recover as soon as possible. It was decided to leave Aber to Milam and the others. The information obtained from Aber was shared among the demon lords. This was no longer a time to be afraid of leaking information. We all agreed that it would be too late to explain anything after something had happened to someone. Two days passed by in a hurry, and just like that, the day of the World Conference had arrived. Benamir was staying back home. As Commander-in-Chief, I entrusted him with the protection of Tempest. For my escort, I had Ranga and Saya lurking in the shadows, and Diablo as my secretary. With this group, I was sure to be able to deal with things, even if Feldway himself attacked. Hey, boss. I don't think there's much I can do for you today for the big event, but please let me know if you need anything. Yam greeted me. Myron was not in sight, apparently staying at home. Instead, Gadra was there as Yam's escort. We greeted each other briefly, and promised to meet up later. After today's events were over, there would be a buffet party. After that, some of us were planning to go to Ingratia's capital for a drink in a relaxed atmosphere with people we knew well. I went to the assembly hall with a bit of excitement, and met up with Masayuki at the square in front of the hall. Since Masayuki was the main character of the day, I welcomed him as an acquaintance and an intermediary. Ha, have you grown taller? I had grown a bit taller since I became a true dragon. I used to be able to look Masayuki in the eye, but now, we were back to the same height difference as before. You can tell. I think I've actually grown up a bit. Masayuki smiled happily. Upon closer inspection, his hair was also bright blonde. Your hair too? Yes, it's completely discolored. I've gotten used to it, but it was a bit disconcerting at first. At this point, I wondered if it was some kind of anomaly. I had thought it was an exaggeration, but Rudra might actually be coming back. But then again, Masayuki was still Masayuki. I stopped worrying about it, and we went into the chamber together. In the large circular venue, which I had already visited several times before, the heavyweights from various countries had already arrived. It was noisy and bustling in its own way, but as soon as they saw us, it all went quiet. All eyes were focused on us, but we were used to it by now. Masayuki seemed to be the same, and he didn't appear to be nervous. You've become more dignified. That's true. When I was enthroned at the empire, there were so many people below me that I could barely see them all. The experience of declaring his accession to the throne from the castle balcony to all his subjects seemed to have helped him grow strong. It was wonderful, Masayuki. Velgren-san said as such as she recalled it with a wistful expression on her face. Velgren-san had come as Masayuki's chaperone, but she herself had a powerful presence. Not to mention her good looks, she looked great in her military uniform. Velgren-san must have been the one who drew most of the attention of the attendees. In the midst of all this attention, Chairman Lester, with his bushy white beard, came running up to us, and led Masayuki and me to our seats. As befits a leading role, we were in the front row. I was seated face to face with Masayuki. I could also see Tensura at the moderator's table. With the arrangements in place, the historic reconciliation between the Western nations and the Eastern Empire would go off without a hitch, as long as there were no interruptions. When thinking about something like that, red flags were bound to appear. This time as well, that law would come into effect, but I didn't realize at the time, and simply waited quietly for the meeting to start. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoy it.